Hello, everybody, and welcome to the May 9th Trips and Traps, the first one from Belmont Park. Andy Serling, Eric Donovan.
We have 4 races to bring you this week, down from 5, and the first race we'll take a look at is the second race from May 3rd. This is a maiden special weight for fillies and mares going a mile. We're going to take a look at a second-time starter, the one Maggie, who hadn't run since September of last year.
Yeah, I'm feeling like this horse may be a bit of a trap. Now, I don't think anybody's going to argue that Maggie ran the best race of anybody here, but Maggie didn't have any significant trouble at the start. It's not like anybody interfered with him, and it's not like he wheeled, or she wheeled, She just broke slow and took herself out of the race. But, you know, it was a race with a very fast pace, where the pace held together, and we just cut to the front because there's no reason to watch 3 horses doing the same thing the whole way. And I think Maggie ran well to be second in a certain way, but do you really want to bet this horse next time it runs?
No, the other thing is I don't think this race is really all that good. I think there's a good chance she'll step up and face a tougher group of maiden specialists next time out. I mean, you had 2 first-time starters in here. You had a second-time starter from Chad Brown that didn't do much running first time out, and another horse, the winner, that's, ran well in this spot here, but had previously, just been okay. So I'm not sure that this is a horse you want to bet back just because of that trouble at the start.
And the other thing about Maggie is, well, she comes out of a live race in her first start. She hadn't run since Saratoga, and it took her 8 months to get back to the races. And you wonder, and then she does that nonsense at the start, and you wonder if there's things going on with her that you just don't want to take a short price on. When nobody's arguing that Maggie, if you bet Maggie in this race, you have a right to be frustrated because you should have cashed. She was the best horse in the race. But when she runs next time, and she was 9-5 in here, and next time she runs and she's even money, and everybody talks about her terrible start, I feel like she's a good horse to bet against.
I think you're probably right there. Yep, we'll move on to our next race now. A little bit of a long shot here, actually a big long shot. We're going to look at Ballybrit, a maiden claimer, trying the turf for the first time. $25,000 maiden claimer. It's race 5 from the 3rd.
Now, you'll see right away Ballybrit getting left here. Now, there's a number of things about Ballybrit and about this race. First of all, the horses that run 1-2 in here are 1-2 the entire way around the track. So obviously Ballybrit getting left and coming from far back sort of ran against the general dynamics of the race. But I think also Ballybrit, Eric, is a great example of if you see a horse that has a little bit of turf breeding that's run lousy, especially in these weaker maiden races, and you want to take a shot at a big price, don't be afraid.
Yeah, I think one of the other things, too, first-time Lasix, too, I think sometimes, I don't know how much that improves a horse's, chances, but it may signal the intention of the trainer that this is the go time. We gave him a couple races on the dirt. Now it's go time on the turf.
That's not a bad point. And this horse is 61-1 in here, and actually has a little pedigree on the dam side, and does some running in here. And look, you had to be very clever to make money, and you'll see right now Ballybrit is just coming in the picture and starting to make a wide run, 3 to 4 wide around the turn. And you had to be very clever. You had to figure out a way to have the try or the super in here, and I'm not saying I could have done that. It was easy, but Ballybrit also might have run the best race of anybody in here, and with a little bit of luck, might have won and paid $124.
Now, my question to you is he almost one of those last time as a time horses?
He is in a sense, but here's what I envision with Ballybrit. Him stretching out next time, and people thinking because he closed first time in the turf, he's a better bet, and he runs lousy, and then he goes back into a turf sprint, and then I bet him.
Wow, you're really playing this one out.
I've been spending, I got a lot of free time, and I like to think about these things. But, the other thing about Ballybrit is, yes, it's the last time it's time because you're not getting 60-1. But listen, Billy Turner does a good job, but he's not a trainer that's attracting a lot of money with his horses. They're cheaper horses. I don't think Ballybrit is coming into a race at 3-1 next time. So I do think that Ballybrit's the kind of horse you might be able to make some money with the next time, as maybe be a little bit more professional, breaking out of the gate. But I would be leery if Ballybrit is stretched out. I'd prefer to see him in a sprint.
All right, we'll go on to race number 9 from May 3rd. This is a non-winners award allowance on the turf going a mile and 16th. Carafa, the favorite, very much the one to beat in here. Gets in a jam in the stretch, and the lucky winner of the race is Plainview.
Yeah, Plainview, it's not fair to say he's just lucky because he's run a number of very good races. I think what happened here, and you see that Carafa is very forwardly placed, sitting 3rd, just off the leader. Now, Idle American, we'll talk about him a little later. He's towards the back of the pack in the purple silks. I want to talk about him after that, but I think what happens here is the turf got so firm. Now, luckily, we've had this rain the last couple of days, and the courses will get much fairer. These courses got so firm, Eric, that I think it was really helping speed in races. And Cornelio Velasquez is constantly being sort of besieged by waves of horses. Cornelio is riding Carafa, and he's doing his best to keep his horse in check and wait to make that run. The problem was the turf may have helped carry Plainview home.
Well, on the other hand, maybe he could have been a little bit more aggressive, keeping his position.
Retrospect.
Yeah, in retrospect. I think he thought he was doing the right thing here, and it's hard to second guess him here. But, you ask him for more run, maybe he gets into a little bit of a premature move situation. situation, you don't know. But, here he's got a horse coming to the outside, and he gets kind of now put in behind horses a little bit.
Yeah, now, Idle American is back on the outside, is coming to the picture. Idle American, he was coming off a layoff, and he's run well off a layoff, but I think he's a horse that might need to be covered up. Because when he got out in the clear, I think he ran off on his rider nose. I doubt that that's the move that he wanted to make. And I think that American's okay, but he needs to get himself covered up behind horses and make that late run. I agree with you back. Listen, in retrospect, Carafa should have been sitting 3/4 of a length off the leader the whole way around, and he would have beaten him because he's a better horse, and he's a horse that has some speed. But I think Cornelia thought, like a lot of us, certainly like me, well, Plainview won't hang on in here. And look, he only lost by length and 3/4, and, I'll put my run in, and it'll be okay. The problem is the field also kind of bunches, and even though the pace looks very fast on paper, for this turf course, it was fair to moderate.
Well, look at how much ground he loses here, having to wait behind that wall of horses where Plainview spurts and, opens up another couple lengths.
The race is over here. To be honest, it's kind of a miracle that Carafa ran as well as he did. Now, Carafa's an exposed horse. He's not going to be a big price next time. It's more of a lesson of why did this favorite lose. And I think it's unfair. I think the natural reaction that people have is to blame Cornelio when this happens. I think it's easy in retrospect. He probably blames himself in retrospect. But I think his instincts were correct. It just may have been more of a turf situation, the race situation, that got him kind of skunked in here. Idle American kind of fascinates me, Eric, because I think he's a horse with some talent, and he just got away from himself in here. And I'd be willing to give him another chance in a similar type race without a Carafa if he could get himself into more, maybe gets an inside post, and maybe he's going to be covered up the whole way.
Yeah, I wonder how good Carafa could be this year. It seems like he would have a decent chance of competing with, some of the top New York breds who we just saw last week, win those great stakes here on the grass.
I don't disagree with you. That race he ran down in Florida was an exceptional effort, and he's a horse, a new 4-year-old, and he definitely has some upside. I mean, listen, we're not saying he's a Lubash, and Lubash keeps running the way he did the other day. He's obviously very good, but Unbridled Command's not going to be around because I think he's in England right now and eventually headed maybe to Australia, so he's not going to have to worry about the biggest dog, perhaps. We'll see what happens, but Carafa's a horse on the improve.
All right, one more race to bring you. We'll go to the 7th race from May 5th now, a maiden special weight for fillies and mares going 6 furlongs for New York breds.
I thought there was an interesting first-time star in this race. Not the one that won. Why would I ever be around a winner? But the 5-horse Rosie Song. Rosie Song breaks a little bit slowly, and not that badly. Now, the situation here, you'll watch Rosie Song as she sort of eases back a little bit, and that's fine. But for whatever reason, an eighth, 3/16 mile race, the rider decided, no, I don't want to do that. I want to rush up 4 wide. And this is while everybody in the race was trying to get their horse over to the rail, because the rail seemed to be the place to be that day. And Rosie Song, a first-time starter that Maggie had an interesting story on, which we'll get to, I thought showed some running in spots before tiring in here. Not sure what to do, but I think this horse might be a little better than the finish indicates.
I think you're probably right there. A horse that I think the jock might have been a little bit worried that he was going to get shuffled back if he stayed in the same spot he was, and maybe he was under instructions to keep her in the game a little bit more. But a little bit of a premature wide move nonetheless here, and not the winning move, especially the way this main track's been playing here at Belmont.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe she's a horse that needed a race anyway, so it's not bad to get her do some work. And there she is in the far outside. And she gets herself in the picture. The horse inside of her is the eventual winner. Maggie was pointing out this horse, I believe she said, was supposed to debut when Agave Kiss did, which was actually New York Bred Showcase Day over a year and a half ago, and may have been a late scratch that day. So obviously this horse had a lot of issues, but they were able to finally get her back to race. And when they did, she actually ran a little bit in this race before tiring towards the end. And I think she's the kind of horse that's going to run a whole lot better in her second start.
Yeah, she is a 4-year-old. You just wonder how much. You said she may need the race and improve. As the horses get older, I don't know how much improving they really do, but you never know. For a horse that might have been compromised and might have had to miss a good chunk of her career training wise and stuff like that, if she had an accident or needed to be a late scratch there, that perhaps she did need this race a little bit, and you can treat her like a 3-year-old, not a 4-year-old.
And Jimmy Jerkins is reminding people lately that he actually does know how to train. His horse has been running great lately, and so I think it's a good sign to have a trainer like Jimmy in her corner, all kidding aside. And I think, and we've seen Jimmy's horses will run better sometimes second time out, so she's a horse to keep an eye on. Just some different thoughts, but we can always use your thoughts, trips, and traps at NYRAInc.com.
Thanks for watching.